to the Working in Real Estate webinar. I'm your host, Carlie Barnett.
And I'm your co-host, Claire O'Brien. Join us as we dive into the dynamic realm of talent acquisition and uncover insights that will reshape your approach to both working in real estate and recruiting to build your business. Get ready to be informed, inspired, and empowered.
Recruit and Consult acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this webinar is recorded on. One of the common throwaway lines we seem to get from a lot of our clients is, does anyone want to work these days? And the fact of the matter is, yes, although that there is 3% unemployment in New South Wales currently, there are people that want to work. It's just that the landscape of work has changed and what they're wanting to do in the work environment's changed as well. So today we thought we'd unpack what all of that looks like to put you in the best position as an employer or a hiring manager to attract that right talent for your business. And there are three main things that we want to talk about today to help with, I guess, making sure people want to work these days in your business. So those three things that we want to cover on are salaries, flexibility, and the different types of crazy terms that are being thrown around when it comes to flexibility, and progression and promotion from within your business. Now, in regards to things changing, obviously flexibility is really important, but there are some other more casual terms that have been thrown around, like biz leisure, lazy girl jobs, bare minimum Mondays, the flex, and work from home. Today, Claire's going to help me decipher and understand what all of these actually mean when candidates say they want that in their next role. So Claire, what is work from home? What do people want with work from home?
Well, with work from home, it's all about having a flexible or hybrid working arrangement where you can have a couple of days from home, a few days in the office, and it really just breaks up what the traditional work week would look like for you, and obviously giving you that opportunity to have a mix of both.
So like a day at home, 4 in the office, 2 at home, 3 in the office?
Yeah, pretty much, something like that. Whatever kind of works for you and your team and for the company. But yeah, no, the option to just have a bit of flexibility with coming into the office a few days, making sure you're with the team so you can actually have
I guess that culture. Yeah. And to some of the things you've seen with that flexibility, if it's a working parent or if it's someone that might be doing some study or another commitment outside of work, like they want to come in a bit later but work later, or they want to come in early and leave a little bit earlier to fit life around their jobs.
Exactly. And then, they can log on late and push through a little bit of admin once, if they put their kids down to go to sleep, or, when they just have a little bit of extra time later, they're still getting the work done, but it's just having a little bit of flexibility and a bit of give and take so people can have a bit of work-life balance.
Yeah. So when we talk about bare minimum Monday, what do people mean by this?
Well, it's a new thing that we're kind of seeing floating around, and we're not too sure if it's actually legitimate sometimes, but it encourages, I guess, taking it slow on a Monday to prevent burnout from happening for the rest of the week. So kind of easing into the week so that the rest of the week is, I guess, a little bit more productive. But I'm not too sure if we really agree with that.
I don't know if I would want to pay my team to do their washing on a Monday, but anyway. And then I guess, those lazy girl jobs, that's one of the newer terms that we've heard. What is a lazy girl job?
Apparently it's a job that requires minimal effort, but it still gives you a bit of flexibility and a bit of work-life balance and is paying you quite a decent salary.
So I'm assuming a lazy girl job would be like I roll in at 9, I do the work that I need to do, but I'm very much out the door at 5. I don't think about work. I don't take work with me. I do what I need to do while I'm there, and then I'm out.
Pretty much. You hit the nail on the head there.
Okay. So then from there, quiet quitting. Obviously, that's something that we've heard a lot of. We've had that hustle girl boss culture for so long, but that quiet quitting is sort of the opposite to that, isn't it?
Yeah. So people are still coming to work, but they're putting in the bare minimum amount of effort into their job. You might see them quite disengaged in work meetings. They're not really participating. They never put their hand up to, take on extra work or work overtime. They're just showing up, getting through the workday.
So don't quit entirely. They still go to work.
But they've checked out.
They're quietly backed out. Okay, interesting. So now that we've covered off what some of those new terms are, I guess we should sort of dive into salaries, and we'll come back to flexibility and what that looks like in a minute. So salaries, well, I guess, what we used to see was salaries were really based around like a tenure and how long you'd been in an industry or with a company or with a role for.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed, and definitely something that we're seeing, and an example that we see quite often at the moment is in property management. Just to put some things into perspective, as an example, we did have a candidate with about 18 months of experience in real estate in total. He was a property manager, looking around that, say, 100 to 110,000 package, and then to put that into comparison to another candidate that we saw who had over 10 years experience, also had experience in leadership roles, also around that same salary bracket. So it's really coming down to if you can do the job and you've got the skills and you've developed up to being able to manage the role and tick all of the boxes. It's not so much based on how many years experience you have anymore. It's just your ability to do the job.
So that first candidate that we talk about there with the 18 months experience, there were multiple offers in the marketplace paying that candidate that 1 to 110 salary, and the role they were leaving was paying them that as well. So it's not as though this was a freak offer. Well, multiple businesses happy to pay that because of their ability to run that portfolio. So yeah, tenure now doesn't stand for as much as what it used to. It's very much around ability. And if you develop that ability in 2 years, or it's taken you 10 years to do it, you may end up being paid somewhat the same. I guess then with salaries, if we look at those associate agent style of roles, I know we've had some recently where like you'll start at the award wage and you'll, get some bonuses for the work that you've done. So like quite a lot of prospecting, door knocking, not too much more responsibility outside of that. But we did sort of get a role that had come through that didn't have any commissions or any incentives for the first 12 months, but they still had to door knock, letterbox drop, cold call, like do all those sales activities, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we had a fantastic candidate that had some great sales experience from another industry, had a certificate of registration, had bought and sold some property before as well. And that candidate actually ended up declining the offer and going ahead with another opportunity that offered some incentives earlier on in the job instead of at the 12-month mark.
Yeah, because for that first 12-month period, that particular role wasn't going to pay any incentive or any commission. So any new listing that anyone brought on, any lead that person was going to generate, they were not getting rewarded for it. And I don't know about you, but if I wasn't getting rewarded for things that I was bringing in, I wouldn't be sticking around.
It's not motivating. I think when you're sitting in a sales team and you've got the agents high-fiving when they're doing deals and they're driving nice cars and they've got nice things, yes, we know it takes a lot of time to get to that, but I feel as though it's demotivating for these candidates who are actually doing all the grunt work on the phones to get the agents in the doors and they're not getting any financial recognition for it. And it doesn't have to be huge. Like it can be a small flat amount, per successful lead. It can be a small percentage. It could be a team KPI. But I do think that there needs to be some sort of financial reward there sooner than 12 months.
100%.
Yeah, and that's for even those green candidates. If they're capable of bringing you on a lead and getting you in a door, why not? I think that if we look at those sort of like EA, PA roles, if you're under pressure as an agent and admin's not your forte, then you're highly likely to need an assistant. And look, some people we've seen that have get VAs. We've got one in our business. She's phenomenal. But some people also need people on the ground, physically being able to go out to properties and photo shoots and, collect things for clients and keys and whatnot. So it's really important that you have someone local. When you're operating with a high volume, you're going to need someone with pretty good experience that can hit the ground running.
Yeah, definitely.
And those salaries for EAs, you've dealt with a few of them recently. What have you seen salary wise?
EAs probably from around that kind of 90 to 110 package and potentially some incentives thrown in there based on team performance.
Yeah, definitely an incentive there, although not all administrators are really driven by incentives. So we have seen some clients that say, I'll offer a low salary, but I'm going to give them lots of bonuses and lots of incentives. And generally people are in admin in real estate because they don't like the thrill or the hustle of sales. It doesn't excite them earning those commissions. So paying sort of that higher salary, and we're not saying above market, but paying the salary that the market's demanding is better than going in too low and trying to beef it up with bonuses. I think a discretionary bonus or an annual KPI if your team hits a certain target is definitely a great incentive there. But, those salaries, you don't want to sort of skimp on that. Now, the salaries that we are speaking about today, I will say that they are reflective of the Sydney market or the New South Wales Central Coast. This isn't reflective of the entirety of Australia. So it's very important that they do differ significantly. And even in Sydney, they differ significantly. The closer you are to the city, we tend to see them a little bit higher. And the further you push out, those salaries do somewhat decrease. But in saying that, the award doesn't change based on geographical location. That is something that's set in stone. If we then go from salary across to flexibility, that's one thing, we do hear clients that say work from home's over, Zoom's making everyone go back into the office, CommBank has mandated the return to work. We would agree, yes, they've mandated it, but they've only mandated that 2 days,
2 days
per week. Yeah, so that's 3 days that there's still hybrid work model and flexibility. It's revolutionized the way that we work, this work from home. We are not going to go back to a completely in the office model across the board. There are some roles that you can't do them from home, it could be a reception role, it could be a leasing role, you do need to be out and about, but there are roles where you can accommodate that flexibility. Now, flexibility doesn't have to be doing your entire job from home. I mean, flexibility can be like start and finish times.
Yeah, there's lots of different options that you can opt for. If, let someone come in late or leave early if they have appointments or they need to pick up their kids from school, generally they'll be more than happy to log on later on at night and push some things through as well. At the end of the day, they still need to get their job done, but enabling that flexibility maybe to go to an appointment or just to really have a bit of work-life balance. We're seeing it work wonders when you do offer it.
Yeah, we had one candidate that we placed in a role in commercial real estate that was completing a property degree that was going to benefit the employer and help his career. Now, that employer opted to let this candidate go home early 2 afternoons per week, I think at 4 o'clock, so not particularly early. Just while uni was on, so not in the uni holidays, he was working full-time there, just so he could do those studies, and they were going to give a little bit of flexibility as well around exams. As I said, that type of flexibility wasn't an entire work from home day. It was leaving the office 1 to 1.5 hours earlier than normal to complete studies that were going to complement the office and his role. So it isn't always a full work from home day. Obviously, the terms that we spoke about before, like your lazy girl jobs and your quiet quit, look, there are always going to be people like that in the marketplace. But I think if you have a hard no on any flexibility or any work from home, you will detract candidates from the market. And what will happen is people will get to know that your business is the one that doesn't offer that, and they'll probably go after your staff offering all of that flexibility. So you want to have something in place there. Now, a lot of clients in regards to work from home, it's something that they will only introduce at month 3, month 6, post probation. So get the new starter very much on board and confident with the processes, the role, the team before they introduce a work from home day. And it might only be a 1 day a week, it might be 1 day a fortnight, or it could just be some flexibility here or there around appointments.
Yeah, which I think is totally fair enough. Once they're across the processes, the way that the business operates, and then you've developed that trust, I think it's more than, you should be more than happy to offer it. Going to a specific example in regards to some of the roles that we've been, putting to market recently, especially in property management, we're definitely seeing lots of flexibility being thrown around in the market with regards to those types of roles. For an example, a role that we did recruit for recently, there was one property management role, all the same tasks, absolutely no flexibility, like role, same region in Sydney, with 1 to 2 work from home days per week. That got 3 times as much interest as just the traditional role offering no flexibility. So it's the way that the future's moving, and if you're not going to be offering it, you're definitely going to be left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And even speaking to those applicants, when we ask them, why flexibility? What do you need? One of the responses was, I have 1 afternoon a week that I have to do pickup. My partner can't do pickup that 1 afternoon. So they didn't even need a full day from home. They just needed flexibility for 1 afternoon a week, and they'd applied for a job that was offering 2 work from home days just to get that little bit of flexibility. Again, like we said before, we've had that candidate that studied and the client could offer that flexibility. But 3 times as more applications if the role is offering work from home. It's phenomenal. That one thing makes a massive difference when we go to market with a role. And we find that flexibility gets loyalty. These candidates are staying. They don't want to leave roles. If we go to market and we try and find candidates in roles that have got that flexibility, they tend to not want to have a chat to us.
Yeah.
So then Flexibility, we've covered that. We've obviously looked at the different types of work in the marketplace. We've looked at different salaries for different roles. I guess progression would be sort of where we'd finish off as our most important thing for candidates with what they're looking for in the marketplace at the moment. So more often than not, what we're seeing is you'll have a high-performing staff member or a staff member that's really well-performing. They don't give you any grief. They do their job. They hit their targets. They just get on with it. And you tend to not give them the focus or the attention or the training or the mentoring because you think, hey, they're great. They're plug-and-play candidate. These candidates are craving mentoring. They're craving a one-on-one each month. They want a progression plan. They want to learn. They want training.
Yeah, they want to do more.
They want to do more. They want to be pushed. They want someone to listen to them. They want someone to map out their goals with them. So we're finding that those sorts of candidates that are quite experienced and, hitting the milestones, not giving you any grief, you need to put some focus and effort into them just as much as you are to staff members that might be newer or need a lot more training. I guess the next side of things is when we've recruited, and you've placed quite a lot of them lately, those entry-level candidates that are fresh to the industry. I mean, what are they saying that they want when you meet with them?
Yeah, well, a lot of them say, I want growth and I want career progression. And I really like to break that down with them because obviously that means something different to every single person. And especially being fresh to the industry, they might have some type of expectation, but the expectation isn't really, it's a little bit clouded because they're not really sure how the industry operates. So definitely, I think making sure that you do have those clear plans in place, give them an outline of what those tasks are that they need to be achieving and doing well, and a structured plan to then show them what that next step looks like. So for example, say they were to go into an entry-level leasing role, making sure that they're across all of the types of things that they will need to be able to do before they can, maybe progress into being an assistant property manager or maybe taking on their own small portfolio, and really being quite clear in what that looks like, and, maybe doing like a month-to-month catch-up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, having that plan. So if I'm on reception, how do I go to leasing? How do I go to run my own portfolio? Or if I'm a prospector, how do I move to being an associate agent? How do I go to a co-agent? How do I get to be standalone? What do I need to achieve to get to that level? Even an administration assistant, how do I get to be that high-level EA? What do I need to do? They want those steps in front of them so they know exactly what they need to do. Most people in real estate are quite ambitious and goal-driven, so they want that mapped out for them, and they want someone to sit with them and hold them accountable and teach them how to get there. From that, like you said, those monthly one-on-one catch-ups are really important, especially, probation period. I mean, I'd be having it monthly.
Yeah,
definitely have monthly. And I think beyond that, you could continue monthly, quarterly. I definitely even consider an annual review as well. I mean, and I'd ask them where do you want to go? What training do you want? Are you at capacity with your job? Could you take on more?
Yeah, and there's one client that we do work with who is quite receptive to, taking on fresh to the industry talent, green talent, and really training those candidates up. And that's exactly what they do. They sit down with them and assess their goals month to month. And we've had a couple of candidates who in a 6-month period have actually progressed to 1 and 2 levels in the direction that they want to go, because they've had that structured plan in place, and they've ticked those boxes, and they're able to move forward and move up.
Yeah, and I think even in that 6-month period that those candidates have progressed, we've seen 1 or 2 of them even get a pay rise.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've just bumped them off the award, and these candidates are really excited. Like, someone's invested in them. They're training them. They've increased their salary. They're giving them more autonomy and more responsibility. And we've seen some of them even trying to refer their friends into these businesses. So I guess to sort of overview and sort of circle back to everything that we've covered today. Yes, people want to work, but everything we've discussed are the things that you should be considering when you're next doing your recruitment search. A job title and salary alone isn't enough to take to the market, and it just won't cut it to attract the right talent. A progression and training plan is really important, not only for your entry-level candidates that are eagerly starting their real estate career, but also for your experienced candidates that are hitting all of their goals and KPIs and want someone to push them to that next level, and they're seeking that mentoring. Secondly, salaries. Meet the market. Don't skimp on incentives or bonuses, and don't think that an incentive or bonus alone is enough, especially for those administration roles and property managers, as they don't necessarily feel incentivized by a bonus. Pay what candidates are worth. You'll get a great quality candidate as a result. And finally, flexibility. Being open to the conversation with a candidate that you're meeting with about their requirements and what flexibility means to them, and how you might be able to make that work in your business.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Working in Real Estate webinar. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out our website for the next registration date so you never miss out on our upcoming conversations with industry experts and insider recruitment tips. Feel free to share your thoughts, questions, and suggestions with us. We'd love to hear from you.